After this traumatic experience, I went back to my room and picked up the Godzilla toy. I was sure this time I knew what I wanted to do with it. I would destroy it, smash it, burn it, throw it in a lake. I just had to get rid of it. I walked back to my wardrobe, picked up the huge thing, and I still didn't know what to do with it. Fuck. Seriously, this toy was more than alive. It was playing games with me. On one hand, there was the whole thing with its escape from the closet and the fact it got up on my wardrobe. But on the other hand, if it wasn't for that, my father would probably have been dead by now. This thing was a walking, living, future-predicting abomination of a hero. It was. I still had both my parents alive because of this toy. Godzilla had become an even bigger savior in my life than ever. What if I did get rid of this thing? Then if something unexpected and disastrous happened, I would have no idea what it would be. My loved ones could lose their lives any minute, and I wouldn't have a way to know about it. For all I know, I myself could die at any minute with what happened tonight. But I couldn't live like this. This toy was still the bane of my existence. All the anxiety, paranoia, torment, fear, and all this other shit? I still couldn't keep this thing. I must have really lost my mind, because after 1 minute of processing everything, I asked it, "What do you want from me? Why do you do this to me? Why are you the way you are? Where did you come from? How is all this happening? Just please, stop this!" I then collapsed on my bed and cried. I know as an 18-year-old boy, I should really pull myself together, but this was simply too much. I couldn't help myself. In all honesty, I think the only thing I could do was cry. It was only a matter of time before my depression and confusion led me into sleep. I don't know exactly, but I think I woke up around, say, 2 or 3 a.m. A million thoughts instantly flooded into my mind once I did. Somewhere in my mind, I thought about the fact that I didn't finish my homework. Other thoughts were about how my mom would feel about my father nearly getting run over. However, the first thing I instantly did was look to the side of my bed, where I dropped the Godzilla figure. Then a million more waves of terror washed over me when I found out it wasn't there. I assumed it perhaps took my words and gone away for good. I also thought it had retreated to another corner of the house and would pull some more of this crap again. Then, that's when I saw it again. Only this time, it made every other goddamn event it had done seem like a walk in the park. I am dead serious about this. I wish I wasn't, but what I saw in front of me was real. The image burned into my mind, even in the dark. It was Godzilla. The toy was on my bed. It was lying down with its arms holding himself up. Its head and neck now had complete 360 rotation, and it was staring right at me. I have seen many horror movies, The Exorcist, The Ring, Alien, all of which used to scare the shit out of me. Yet all of those combined were not even close to what I was looking at. I just laid in my bed again as my eyes adjusted to the darkness. My entire body was jelly. I had no idea what he was going to do to me. I thought of a slow and painful death as it would sink its now sharp teeth into my neck. I also considered the gruesome torture and agony it would give me with those sharp claws. Finally, I imagined just dropping dead any second because I had no idea what to expect from this thing. But, surprisingly, it did nothing for 5 minutes. It just stared at me without moving a single joint. I didn't go after it because I feared what the result would be, but I started to calm down a little when it didn't do anything. It was still creepy as fuck, but I just wondered if it was gonna stare at me till morning, or when somebody entered my room. Then, it spoke. I'm not kidding. It actually started to talk to me. It didn't move its mouth, and it wasn't even an external sound my ears could pick up. It was all in my head. Godzilla was flat out communicating with me telepathically. It felt like some sort of uncontrollable force in my head that was processing jumbled crap into sentences sent by the toy. I can't exactly tell you what Godzilla's voice was like, but the closest thing I could compare it to is Liam Neeson's mixed with a little bit of Sam Neill's. I tried to drown out these thoughts, but, as I said, they were uncontrollable. I couldn't reject them, since I couldn't possibly pay attention to anything else. A fucking Godzilla toy was talking to me. Eventually, he won, and my entire mind was hit with these words like a meteor slamming into Earth. Do you want me in the collection? I paused right there. Even after it spoke to me, the words echoed in my head for what seemed like an eternity. It was a question. I didn't know what to answer. I wanted to be honest, but I was terrified about what it would do to me if I answered the question negatively. I decided to nut up a little, telling myself I was already crazy, and I didn't mind dying considering that all this shit had destroyed my life already. I replied, no. I tensed up, expecting a strong burst of agony to envelop my body. Instead, more of these odd things exploded into my mind as they formed another question. Do I look good? What was this thing trying to get across? Looking back into its bright eyes, I noticed that even if it was doing these messed up things that were screwed up beyond my comprehension, it still looked as impressive as ever, so I answered, yes. Another explosion of thoughts entered into my now weak head. This time it was, am I mighty? Well, he was Godzilla, and he did do things no other toy could possibly do. Hell, no other object could possibly do. Logically, my reply was, yes. Another question popped up. At this point, I was used to it. The one this time was a little odd, at least to me. It was, am I king? I had no idea what it meant by that. What did king really mean? If I viewed this toy as some sort of ruler, it kind of was. It could tell my future, inform me, bother me, disturb me, and it certainly did tower over everything else in my room. In fact, with everything it had done, it was more than a king. It was almost like a god. I can't think of anything else that could do this. I myself was skeptical on religion, but if there was any proof of a higher being, this Godzilla toy of all things was proof of it. Telepathic communication, movement, persistence, this toy was most certainly king. But was it really? Because I was the one supposed to be in control of it. It was the centerpiece of my collection, and that was all it was ever meant to be. When did it decide to become something entirely different? When it just started moving? Is that what makes a king? Just getting special abilities and powers out of nowhere? Time was running out for me, and I had enough problems asking myself questions when I was supposed to respond to one. Unfortunately, I spoke my mind this time. Yes. After that answer, this one was the most intense of them all. Do you like me? Yet, it was the one I answered the quickest. For what had happened to me and Dad that night, I knew the answer immediately. Yes. One heavy sigh later, the final question came up. This one I was completely baffled on for several minutes. Do you want me in the collection? I could tell it was onto something. I didn't know what this answer would lead to next. After all this conflict, anger, sadness, confusion, and frustration, I broke down into tears in front of this still staring toy. I barely managed to utter the last answer. No. Before I knew it, the Godzilla toy tipped over by its side and fell off the bed. It plunged to the floor, despite the fact I hadn't moved my shocked legs at all. Then, everything just went black for me. I don't exactly know to this day what caused me to get knocked out.